Here we go. All right, y'all. Look here, we live. We coming to y'all live from Old Town, Alexandria. Me and Jason Kessler, we gonna sit here and we gonna talk about the N word.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, we gonna talk about a lot of things. Okay, but so what do you think about the controversy with Joe Rogan and the use of the N word? How you feel about that?
Well, I think it's a phony manufactured thing because of his commentary on COVID and the vaccines and so forth. And there was a hit job that was done on him.
So
But he shouldn't have apologized.
you don't think he should apologize?
No.
Why not?
Well, first of all, because it's a hit job, like I was saying, it's
Uh,
not really about the N word. It's about the COVID policies, the lockdowns, the vaccines. That's where the
Maybe it's the
controversy
information that he's sharing.
originated. Yeah, that's where the controversy originated, and then I think the people that were trying to get him kicked off of Spotify were frustrated that Spotify did not take their side, and so they conjured up this edited video package of him using the N word, which I would say, but I don't want to get you kicked off or whatever. And I wouldn't say that as a sign of disrespect to you,
Right.
but just because I think that we're adults and we can. There are no magic words. When you talk about something, you should actually say what it is. But Twitter won't allow us to do that.
Right. Well, we on YouTube, man.
Oh,
Twitter.
you're on
Yeah, I'm on
YouTube.
YouTube.
Well,
Yeah,
YouTube is going to
Twitter.
do the same thing to
Twitter.
you, aren't
Twitter
they?
won't. Twitter wouldn't even let me go live. They talking about the signal too weak. So I was like, oh man, come on. I wish I could go live on Twitter. But so oh, I can go. Wait a minute. No, let me put a title in here. So you don't think he should apologize?
No, I don't think you should apologize. I think that there's something morally wrong about hating somebody just for the color of their skin, but I don't think that using the N word is always done to express racial hatred. In Joe Rogan's case, he's coming from a tradition of being a stand-up comic, where that word.
But he's white though.
Yeah, I don't think it
Okay, so
matters though. There's a
why
lot
not?
of.
Why it doesn't matter?
He was describing, the way that comics like Richard Pryor have used that in their stand-up comedy. In fact, Richard Pryor's second album was called "That N-Word's Crazy," not
Right,
N-word, but the actual word.
Right.
And a lot of people, a lot of white people and black people and many other people enjoyed that album, and there's just a history of the most vital part of the free speech movement being in stand-up comedy, where people would say offensive things to get a laugh, not hurt somebody, but because it's funny. And in fact, as I was telling you earlier over lunch, I think it actually helps decrease racial tension because there are obviously differences between different races. I think it's awkward to pretend like those differences don't exist. But like if somebody's just, joking and screwing around and everybody can have a laugh about it, it makes it like it's not that big a deal.
So why do you think we're so sensitive though, as a people now?
Things have changed a lot. People are sharing all kinds of humor that was used in the past that people consider taboo now. Like a lot of comedians would use blackface. People that are like real progressive now, like Howard Stern, and he'd do it with a black host right next to him, and it's just a different world.
And today that wouldn't. He couldn't get away with that
No,
today.
like you look at the way things are treated now, like I think that there's this this propaganda that's fed to the black community that's like you're gonna lose your manhood, you're gonna lose your self-respect if you don't like put your dukes up and start fighting when somebody uses the word, like even when they don't they're not doing it in a
But but but
disrespectful
but
way.
but okay. So should white people be able to use the N word?
I think so in certain contexts. I don't think, as far as like, I don't think it should be illegal, but I would definitely not advise somebody to like get into a dispute with the black person and you inward you. I would, I mean, as strongly as you could possibly discourage that without saying I think it should be illegal. I would discourage that. But as far as like if you're talking about like the use of the word, which is a valid thing, like people, like professors have gotten in trouble at universities where
Right.
like anthropology courses or whatever where they're talking about the word and they use the word instead of saying the N word and they get in trouble as if they were using it to hurt somebody, and I don't think that's right, and I don't think it's right for people to attack Joe Rogan who has been very supportive of black comics and I don't think he is a racist person at all, for him to talk about the N word as it's used in comedy and to say the actual word. I think it's very important for a free society to be able to use a word instead of having a magic word that you can't say. And I also think, like putting something off the table where like if you say it, it's supposed to be like a nuclear level event is harmful to people, including black people, because words shouldn't be able to hurt you that bad. Sticks and stones.
Isn't it interesting that it's the N word that people are now using to defend free speech? Isn't that interesting?
Well, I
You
think
know, of all the words that you could use to come up and defend your free speech with, is the N word.
is there a more offensive word though? Is there a more
There are
taboo
a lot of
word?
lot of words, man. A lot of words you
What's a
could
more
use.
taboo
I don't
word?
know,
The
but I
only
just
word that even compares to it that I can think off the top of my head is the Jewish slur, the K word, if you want
yeah,
to say that.
yeah. You see what I'm saying? Why they not? Honolulu. Thank you for joining me. But why you see what I'm saying? But why do you think people are so sensitive now?
Because that's the way they're being taught. It has the racial sensitivity is not helpful. It's moving us backwards from where we were decades prior. But it's not just about race. It's also about the coddling of the American mind and how kids, live in this, protected bubble, this little safe space all the time now, where kids used to go out, they'd play, they get injured, they get tough, man, and they didn't worry about things like COVID and every virus. They'd go out and get a little sickness when they're a kid, and then they'd be tough the rest of their life because they're building up natural immunity. Now everybody's cloistered. They want to make a society that's bubble wrapped, so there's no sharp corners. But there's just no way that you can make things totally safe, because the safer you try to make it, the more mentally ill the people become because they can't handle adversity.
Wow. Wow. Hey man, we sitting here talking to in Old Town, talking to Jason Alexander. I mean, man, why
That's
why
a
I
guy
call
from
you
Seinfeld. That's
man,
George.
man, why I call you Jason Alexander? Jason Kessler. Damn, I don't know what am I thinking? I don't know where that
You
came
must have been
from,
watching
y'all.
Seinfeld.
Yeah, but no, we sitting here, we discussing. We like to get together and talk about some things that are going on. Now, what do you think about Trump taking the papers out of the White House down to Mar-a-Lago?
Well, you were asking me about that before. I'm not fully educated on that, so I can't really comment on it. It just depends on whether it's legal or not. If I do think he's been under more scrutiny than other presidents. I'm sure that kind of thing happens all the time, where the presidents are very secretive, but they're really on Trump's ass about everything in a way that they wouldn't have been. But nevertheless, it's either legal or it's not legal. If it's legal, then people need to just leave him alone. If it's not the presidential prerogative, then he needs to give them back. It's that simple.
Now, should he suffer any consequences for that?
If it's illegal, yeah.
Why
Only if
why,
it's
why you think
illegal.
he hadn't been locked up by now?
I don't think he's done anything illegal, has he? What has
You
he
don't
done?
you don't think so?
I don't think so. I mean, everybody has done something illegal. Let me rephrase that. But he's rich and he's got a lot of attorneys, so it's very hard to put somebody like that behind bars unless they've really done something serious. I also think there's a general aura of forgiveness that is afforded to most American presidents, because I think that it sets a scary precedent that, like, because somebody is the president of the opposite party, you're going to do everything in your power to lock that guy up, because that goes both ways. Like I said, everybody's done something illegal. Biden and his son Hunter have had a lot of shady dealings in Ukraine, and I can't imagine all of those are legal. So I think that there's a general aura of forgiveness around presidents for some indiscretions.
Wow. So he's the cat with 9 lives.
All
Pretty
the
much.
presidents are. All the guys that are rich enough and powerful enough to become presidents
Yeah,
have
yeah.
9 lives.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm serious, man. Because some of the stuff he getting away with, you'd be like, boy, if it was me or you, we'd be under the jail.
No, I don't think Trump has done any more than any of these other presidents. I mean, first of all, like, we have no idea all the things these presidents were up to before the internet age and before cameras and social media were everywhere. We've had unprecedented access to very recent presidents.
So what do you think about the fake electric they were trying to get together?
The
Fake, yeah, they had these fake electorates that they were going to say these are now our electorate from this state. This is the slate versus the actual one itself. Peter
I'm not
Navarro.
familiar with that.
Man, you don't watch television?
No, I don't watch television.
What?
The news that I get from social media and from the internet, basically.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't follow what all those people, MSNBC and whatever
You don't
watch.
at Fox News. You don't watch them either.
Nah. I don't keep up with the
Man,
data.
that's a scoop. Y'all, I just got a scoop, y'all. He don't watch the news. I just got a scoop.
I'm over the whole Trump thing. When he runs again, he'll be back in the news. But I'm not caught up in that cult of personality for and against him like other people are.
Okay. Now, most folk think you a white nationalist, right?
Well, some people say that, so I guess, yeah.
Okay, so what are they getting wrong, Jason?
Well, it's like I was telling you, it's all based on the news reporting, and there's a certain agenda there. The Charlottesville event is a lot more complicated than people believe it is, but folks don't want to explore that. There certainly were white nationalists that were at the Charlottesville event, and that's my fault. I invited them, but myself, I'm not, and I'm more of I support those people's right to speak on free speech grounds, but I don't really support race hatred.
So what would you do differently? If you had to do that all over again, what would you do?
I wouldn't have done the pro-monument protest with white nationalists. I think that they've got too much baggage. I really was not trying to make that Charlottesville protest about black people or Jews or anything else that they made it about with their chants. And that's totally lost to time now, the way that I was talking to people behind the scenes and trying to get it to be about pro-white positivity, but not anti-anybody else. I think I did accomplish that at the second Unite the Right rally that I did in Washington, D.C., but since that didn't really fit anybody's agenda, that event has kind of been swept under the rug.
Right. That's the first time I met you at the Lincoln Memorial.
No, I'm talking about the big one that I did where I went to Lafayette Square in 2018.
Oh, really?
You're talking about an event that happened in D.C. at the Lincoln Memorial,
at the Lincoln
prior
Memorial.
to the Charlottesville rally in
Right.
2017.
Yeah.
So that was a different thing. I think I was at a different place then, a lot of what the historical record on me will be probably long after I'm gone will be from that period, which was not the best representation of me. I think I was in a headspace at that time where I felt like um, white people were clearly under attack, and I still think that. But I also felt like the people that I now know are white nationalists were clearly in the right, and it's a much more complicated picture. I think that they have a lot of failings as far as how they, even though white people may be under attack, they're attacking black people and Jews in a similar fashion. So I don't think two wrongs make a right. And so when I first met you, I was sort of the I sort of have my chest out and like, I can't be wrong, and if people don't understand why I would not disavow the Confederacy, then screw them. They don't need to know.
Right.
But now I'm much more sensitive about the situation, and I see how there's a lot of blame on all sides, and it's not something that you can go into with your chest out, and you got to listen to what other people are saying too.
Wow. That's some growth, man.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's some growth. For you to come to that realization, that it's bigger than you.
Yeah. Well, it's not so different historically from where I've been. Like I was telling you previously, I've had black friends of Asian friends of different ethnicities all my life. Some of my roommates in college were black. I just went on vacation to a country which is full of Latinos and black people in the Dominican Republic. So I'm comfortable around people of different races, and I'm able to appreciate differences and strengths and people have that are different. They're unique qualities, but that's a more complicated picture than the media is going to want to portray.
So why you the boogeyman, man?
Like I said, because it's a complicated story, and history is very complicated. It's not as black and white, literally, as it's made out to be. But people want to make it easy because most people are not looking for a complicated story. They're looking for a quick, fable with a moral lesson. And so a lot of the complexities of people and historical events are often shaved away to get at the simplistic moral narrative. And the reality of the situation, I think, if people were able to look at a bird's eye view or from outer space on what's going on right now, is that we're all human beings and we all have mistakes that we've made as individuals and as races, as nations, and that's not the story that's being portrayed right now. The story right now is trying to be a corrective history where the conception is because white people have been in charge of Western civilization over the last hundreds of years and have often marginalized other groups who have lived within Western society, that the same thing needs to be done towards white people to correct that injustice. And so I think that there's a lot of oppression that's happening to white people currently, and I don't think that it's really fair in the long run.
Well, like I told you earlier, I think the issue here is white people are finally getting a chance to see what the rest of the world lives like, and they can't handle it. Because this ain't no surprise to nobody else. There's nobody else complain about this but y'all. We notice we don't complain about this kind of treatment because we used to it.
No, I think that
you see what I'm saying?
I think maybe it was a little bit more like that in your generation. You can see old clips of people telling racially provocative jokes, and black people are there and they take it in stride and sometimes even laugh along with it or whatever. And now there's this culture of weakness where people take mortal offense to words, not actions, but words. And so I don't think that the young younger generations are as tough as they were in your generation. So it's different.
All right. So what is it that you think black people and white people could do to like ease this racial tension among us?
Well, it's complicated because we're sort of being manipulated from the outside by what's going on in the media and the messages that are happening at the universities where and it's usually by white progressives that are that have this enormous sense of white guilt, and it's like a cult that is forcing the country in this very demented direction. I think the race relations were better, any prior decade. Look in the 20th century, 90s, 80s, 70s, much more healthy, I think, and we were able to laugh with each other.
So why do you think it has deteriorated though?
I think it's because of the intelligentsia, what's going on in the universities first and foremost. You had all these far left radical socialists and communists that did a march through the institutions, and that's really the genesis of everything. Is those people have been gaining a foothold in the universities since a long time, but certainly since the 60s and 70s and 80s. And now they just have a stranglehold, a lock on it, so they don't even have to pretend anymore. And there's very few conservatives or Republicans in universities anymore. It's an echo chamber. And I don't think that a lot of the grievance is starting with black people, even though black people do have grievances. And certainly the ones who do have grievances are put front and center on MSNBC or whatever, where they can bitch and moan and so forth. But it's really the white progressives that are pushing this stuff, and you see it all the time. Whenever there's a lot of anti-white hatred, you see who's involved, and it's like upper middle class to upper class, higher educated white progressives in urban areas. And they have a very, what's the word, condescending attitude.
But yet they'll turn around and blame Black Lives Matter.
No, I don't. I think they're the main ones who are participating in Black Lives Matter. If you saw the protests that were going on, and I saw a number of them in DC and so forth,
the thing,
during the day, those are very white protests.
But when they say Black Lives Matter, then they talking about black people. They don't see white folk as being, the problem. They lay this at the feet of black folk. The organizers, that's who they lay this at the feet of. They don't lay this at the feet of the white people. See, because I think there are some conservatives that have infiltrated the Black Lives Matter movement. They go in there specifically to cause violence, so they can point to it and say, look at what they're doing.
I don't think the evidence bears that out. I do think that it's a more complicated picture if you're trying to assign blame by race, because I think both blacks and whites are responsible for the violence that happened during the BLM movement in 2020. Because you had a lot of white Antifa who were going into black communities and handing out Molotov cocktails and bricks and stuff like that. There is a tendency amongst the radical white leftists to use black people as their muscle. And I saw this testified to about Charlottesville, where you had a fair percentage of the violence that came from the left, the counter-protester side in Charlottesville, did come from black people. But from what I've heard in their testimony, is that basically they came to the protest and there were white people with bags of weapons who were handing them out, and these were Antifa. And I've literally seen videos of that happening during the 2020 BLM riots, and I've seen black people turn them away and say, "Get the hell out of here! We don't want anything to do with that." But I think that the white progressives, including Antifa, are so condescending towards black people. They feel like that they have a white savior complex, and they feel like Yeah, of course you would want to do this violence and fight the oppressors, fight the fascists, blah blah blah. And so they come in there handing out these weapons and so forth, which is, I think, pretty inconsistent with the concept that that there's concern about police treatment of black people. So if you're concerned about police treatment of black people, why are you going to get them into legal problems? Why are you going to give them weapons and tell them to go out there and start vandalizing businesses and looting and this kind of stuff?
Why do you think it's so difficult for black people and white people to talk?
I mean, I think it's all about the pressures from the outside. I think any people, you set them down and just allow them to talk, at some point, the walls are going to come down and they're going to be able to discuss topics and let their ego go. But right now we have a huge amount of ego, and I do think that there's the political forces on MSNBC, CNN, whatever you want to call it, are building up people's walls. They're creating an us versus them narrative that that makes it really hard for people to hear the other side, because they feel like they're being emasculated or disrespected if they listen to somebody who disagrees with them.
Wow. Wow, y'all heard that here. You heard that right here. Okay, you heard that right here. Wow. Man, first let me thank you, man, for always entertaining a conversation, be willing.
Hmm.
You've never, I can say this publicly, anytime I've come to you with a question or say, man, let's talk, you've never say, I'm not interested. See, I want to let everybody know that. Every time I've asked this man, because I text him and say, man, let's sit down and talk about this use of the N-word. And this is what people all over the country, should black people and white people all over the country, should start sitting down, man, and talking to one another. And just maybe we might get somewhere.
Yeah, it's difficult. I was really
it's a
hoping
process, though.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's not to say we don't disagree. Okay, all right, we do disagree. I want to be real clear about that. We have stuff we disagree on, but we still are willing to talk to one another. Okay, that's the difference. We still will talk to one another. Okay. Somebody say they just finished Charlottesville Untold. Great book.
Oh yeah, yeah. By Ann Wilson Smith, a really fantastic book. I would recommend anybody. It's available on Amazon. It's called Charlottesville Untold, and it has a lot of like the historical record about Charlottesville that's not out there, because so much of it is propaganda and it's sensationalistic. And it's not that there's nothing sensational about it. There certainly was, but a lot of people don't know the background of me going to the city council meetings. They don't know about the political forces that were trying to take down that monument. They don't know about how the police set up that event to be a violent encounter, even though it was a permitted speech event. They don't know about the ACLU battle for free speech that I had in federal court. There's a lot of complicated issues there, and you really had the rise of Antifa happening in Charlottesville at that time. And I would go out there. I used to live stream just like you're doing now, and I do it at live events, and I would be attacked by Antifa. They'd try to grab my phone, smash them. People would, like we're doing now, just hanging out. We had lunch earlier.
Yeah,
they
did.
would
We had
spot
some good,
me in Charlottesville.
Yeah, we
and they
had
would
lunch earlier. We did.
And they would send dozens of Antifa activists to go there and harass the business until I got kicked out. It was really the beginnings of this whole cancel culture thing. And you'll read that in the book. So, yeah, I think that it's a fantastic book.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, man, thank y'all for joining us. Let me end Twitter right here, because that must be. Hey, YouTube, man, thank you for joining us. This is not the first time that we've entertain the conversation, and we will do this again on a regular basis where we'll just come and sit down and talk about some of the current events. Well, I gotta make sure he's aware of them since he don't watch television. I ain't know that. You gotta watch TV a little bit, man.
I
So you can
watch I
say,
watch I watch like
yeah,
old movies from stuff before I was
yeah,
even
yeah.
born, but I don't watch too much news.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So we got to get him caught up on some topics. Man, anything else you wanna tell the people before you?
No, just follow me on my Twitter, since you're already on Twitter or YouTube or whatever, at the Mad Dimension on Twitter. I cover a lot of the topics that we've been discussing today.
Man, why do you have the handle the Mad Dimension?
Well, because when I first created my website, it's now jasonkessler.us. It was banned. It used to have a different URL, but I was doing fiction. I was doing science fiction and fantasy and stuff like that. So the Mad Dimension was just like sort of a thing I made up that was like a sci-fi type thing, and I used to use a background that looked like outer space, and that is what it is. But I gradually converted my site to also doing political commentary, and some of my political commentary hit the news and was covered in Washington Post and other national outlets. So that's when I started going more exclusively into politics.
So could that be how they developed this narrative about you from that point of view?
The narrative about me developed over time, because at first I was a conservative activist, and then they tried to frame me as white nationalist, white supremacist, and I saw it during the recent Charlottesville lawsuit. The difficult thing that I have is that a powerful force is guilt by association. So if you're around somebody who's saying something, it's now made to be like, well, you agree with that, what that person is saying. You can't have a more complicated motivation, like you couldn't have made a mistake, or you couldn't be supporting their right to say it because the most offensive rhetoric is the most important to protect for free speech reasons. They just want to lump you all in and hurt you. And so that's what's happened to me, is that there's it's a political gold mine, the whole situation in Charlottesville, and it was used to attack Trump. It was used to raise millions, if not billions, of dollars for organizations like the SPLC and the ADL and so forth, and it's going to go in the history books as this historical event that people are going to try to draw a simplistic moral narrative from, when it's more complicated than just about black and white and the legacy of the Confederacy and historical monuments. It's also about free speech, government corruption, but these other issues are like an alternate history of the modern era, because you have two Americas. You have the conservative or right-wing America, and you have the progressive America, and there's two different ways of interpreting things that are going on.
Is it any hope for us?
Yeah, there's always hope. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of dark headwinds, but we'll see how things shake out.
If you could give one piece of advice about making this situation better, what would that be?
Basically, that people just need to step back from politics from time to time and remember to breathe, let go of the stress, to enjoy life, to have fun, to remember that this political stuff is not always the most important. The more important than that is like real people, your friends, your family, that love, God. There's a lot of things that we can also focus on that will help us to step back from that intractable political fight that the country has been in. We're in such a bitter divide in this country. It's worse than probably almost anywhere in the world.
Okay, so listen, we're about to close this thing out, but if anybody got a question they want me to ask Jason, put it in here and let him respond. If you got a question for him, now is the time, or forever hold your peace. so, so if you got a question for Jason Kessler right now, and look, don't come up in here with no bullshit either, okay? If you got a serious question that you want to ask the man, put it in there. UTR, do it again. What is that?
Well, I did it again in 2018. I did one in Washington, D.C., and I think it was a lot more successful because...
Oh, Unite to Right rally.
Because there was no violence there. And I also did it more to my vision than to the vision of the white nationalists that were in attendance in 2017. I had blacks, whites, Jews. The police actually protected the event. The only violence came from Antifa. But no, I think even if I was to do another rally, I don't think it would be UTR. I don't think that uniting the right is helpful because there's some people that shouldn't be united with.
Why don't me and you get together and have a rally?
We could.
Let's get together. Let's me and you get together and have a rally. Could you imagine that? Me and him, we gonna get together and have a rally in Washington, D.C. Y'all coming? Y'all coming?
I'd be up for it. We just got to figure out what we're trying to do.
Really?
Yeah.
I was joking, but because I'll try something in a minute, man. I'll try something in a minute. I ain't lying. I
it's
ain't
fun
scared
to do that stuff, but it gets scary for me because there's so many people that want to attack me. So many violent people. It's hard to do protests now, But I would love to get back out there and just, have a good time speaking my mind. Nothing wrong with that.
And that's what we can call it, a Speak Your Mind rally. That's what we can call Speak Your Mind rally. Let you get up and say what you want to say, without people getting offended. If you want to boo somebody, boo them, but you ain't got to be offended. It ain't personal.
You'd get some crazy people out there if you do something with me. Let me tell you that you're gonna have some Antifa. I don't care how peace and love we approach it. These nut jobs are gonna come out there and try to shut it down. I think.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
There might not be as many as there used to be. I think things have cooled off a little bit with me.
Because this January 6th and took a big chunk out of a lot of them. A lot of them running scared. From January 6th.
The Antifa?
Yeah.
What does it have to do with them?
Oh no, not the Antifa. Yeah, no. I'm
You're talking about more about like the Oath Keepers, and Proud Boys, the right wing people.
Yeah.
No, I don't really.
A lot of them that was down in Charlottesville with the Kiki torches.
That's not the people that were in Charlottesville. There were a few people in Charlottesville who were also at January 6th, like Baked Alaska and Nick Fuentes, but not the Oath Keepers and not really the Proud Boys. There might have been I think the guy who was the leader of the Proud Boy was there, but other than him, I'm not aware that there were any others. Enrique Tarrio, he was in Charlottesville.
He just got out of jail too. Yeah, he just got out of jail. That was interesting. All right, y'all. Well, man, thank you, Jason.
Yep.
Thank you. So look, listen.
Speak with you, Don.
Yes, sir. We gonna end this conversation. And let me see, did anybody have a question for you? Yes. Different faction expressed their angle. Unite America rally. Okay. Nobody has a question. Seems like everything has become weaponized activism. Yes, it has. This is one of the reasons that we can't talk to one another because everything is so sensitive now. People are too easily offended by something. And if it doesn't apply to you, then why are you offended? That's how I look at it. You know, people just be showing their ignorance when they talking crazy. And you need to figure out whether or not you're going to deal with them or how you're going to deal with them if you do want to deal with them. Okay? But it ain't no sense saying canceling anybody. And we need to get away from this. You know, of this thing that because somebody say something to you that you might find offensive, you know, that you want to kill them or they eliminate it or cancel them or do all this other nonsense. We got to stop that shit, man. We got to stop it. All right, that's just my take. Okay, you got anything else you want to say to him?
Nope, I ain't got anything else, man.
Okay, all right, y'all. All right, man. I see you.